Hello world, Shelly here, and it's time for another episode of Foundation Fest, and I am sample cruising once again. Today I am going to check out, this one's been out for a while, the Charlotte Tilbury Light Wonder Foundation. Retails for $42 for 1.4 ounces or 40 mils of product, so that's about $33 an ounce, so it's not super high end on the prestige price range. It's described as a lightweight foundation that's hydrating and has a radiant finish. Pseudoceramides are the highlighted ingredients, which keep skin hydrated for up to 18 hours. Free of sulfates, SLS and SLES. It's also vegan, cruelty-free, and gluten-free. Now, I did a little bit of checking into Charlotte Tilbury's cruelty-free status because for a minute there, they weren't selling in mainland China, but they had some testers in a holiday pop-up of sorts, and that brought into question whether those products would have been allowed without animal testing. And as it turns out, in September this month, 2021, they have actually achieved their Leaping Bunny certification, and they claim full cruelty-free status, and it has been verified by Leaping Bunny. So Charlotte Tilbury is cruelty-free. They're not completely vegan, but they do have many vegan products. This is one of them. So I've got this in shade Too Fair, which is the shade that I typically wear in Charlotte Tilbury. So let's take a look at this one swatched against a few others in my collection. Swatch time! First up is today's foundation from Charlotte Tilbury, the Light Wonder Foundation in shade Too Fair. Second is also Charlotte Tilbury, the Airbrush Flawless Foundation in shade 2. Third up, I've got from Estee Lauder, the Double Wear Stay in Place in 1C1 Cool Bone. Fourth is from MAC, the Studio Sculpt in NW15. And last I've got from Wet n Wild, the Tinted Hydrator in shade Fair. I've already cleansed, moisturized, and sunscreened this 46-year-old face. I didn't prime, but I did apply some of my magic cream from Charlotte Tilbury. I just scored another sample, so I'm gonna have 2 sample jars of this because this one's almost out. And, you know, I love this stuff, but I don't think I would buy the full size just because, I don't know, it's probably one of those things I would stop using and then I would miss it. But thank heavens for the samples you can get through Sephora because now I'm stocked up again. This one lasted me a really long time. It works really nicely as a primer if you're just doing really light coverage and you don't want a full, you know, primer, but you want more moisture because you're a dry skin fool like I am. All right, let's bust into this in the consistency. Going to apply with fingertips as I usually do with these kinds of light coverage types of products. I would call this very sheer coverage. Even I'm looking at redness comparison from one side of my chin to the other, and there's not a whole lot of color correction going on, just a smidge. Let's go for the other side, and then we'll see if we can build this up at all. Definitely a radiant finish. I think I'm gonna need a little more product. I would say this is very, very light coverage. It built up just a little bit, enough that I kind of minimized a little bit of the harshness of my sunspots, but you can still see a little redness on my nose, a little redness on my chin, so color correction isn't really the major purpose of this one. But I do want to point out that the finish is very smoothing. Like, there's a very slight blur to my pores. It's not masking them completely, but honestly, most of the time it's my primer masking my pores. But the textured side of my face looks incredibly smooth, so much so that it almost looks as smooth as the non-textured side of my face. And that's kind of impressive. I also like how it looks on my forehead. I feel like it has... Here's what moisture does to your skin when you have fine lines. It plumps them so that the lines are not visible, and I feel like that's what's happening on my forehead because I really only see my 3 main forehead lines. I don't see all the rest of the little micro lines that come about when my skin is dehydrated. So I'm liking the finish on this one. Let's check the time. It is 11:28 a.m. I'm gonna go put the rest of my face on. I will be right back. Back with the Light Wonder. Yes, I went a little heavy on the bronzer today. It's starting to feel chilly outside, you guys. Chilly, chilly. Don't mind my nails. I'm in the middle of redoing them. I started taking them off and then I'm like, crud, I need to film, make sure this happened. Anyway, so on my face, I did not have to set this with powder, although I do feel like it would be a good candidate for one of those sort of base products that you put a powder foundation on top of because of its light coverage, but I had no trouble blending powders on top of it. I am wearing my Wayne Goss face palette and my Clarins Jolie blush and Natasha Denona Super Glow as my complexion products. No issues there. The product is a little bit clingy on my nose, the Light Wonder product, and so it's a little bit clinging to some dry skin I have on the sides of my nostrils. That's the only thing I see happening outside of the ordinary at the moment. I do really like the radiant finish. We'll see if it gets too shiny throughout the day or what the situation ends up being. My eyes are a Juvia's Place. This is the Rebel Army palette. Did not mean to be so matchy-matchy today, but, you know, it happened. I am wearing the Tarte Lights Camera Lashes as my mascara, and my lip is the Clarins. This is the Lip Comfort Oil Shimmer variety. This is shade number 7, and I think that's all the things. I'm going to go about my day. I'd say I'll do a daylight check-in, but it's basically going to be a gloomy, cloudy check-in. I'm looking out the window right behind you guys. It's very gloomy today, very, very gloomy, but I will get a daylight check-in in a bit, and I will come back tonight, give you guys my final thoughts. Hey guys, it has been about 4 hours, and here is where we're at. I'll show you the inside of my mask. I have a little bit of product worn off there, particularly on my nose and my chin, and so it does not, I would not call it transfer resistant, but other than that I think everything is still holding up nicely. The finish hasn't gotten any more dewy, so I like that it's a pretty consistent radiant finish from when you apply it, but there is a little bit of transfer and I'm getting a little bit of redness back on my nose and my chin, though there wasn't much coverage to begin with. So also I'm a little warm. I literally just got out of my first class and I'm wearing a sweatshirt, and I think it's almost 80 degrees out here, but it's always cold in there, so it's like, what do you do? Anyway, that's where we're at right now. I'll be back tonight and wrap this one up. Also, best mask ever. 9:53 p.m. That puts us just past the 10-hour mark. Let's take a look at how the Charlotte Tilbury Light Wonder Foundation held up. So in a nutshell, I think, oh, I got my nail polish off, by the way. I'm a hot mess today, you guys. In a nutshell, I think this is beautiful if you don't have to wear a mask. So generally speaking, the parts of my face that don't contact the mask points still look gorgeous. No shininess. The radiant finish stayed at that same radiant level. Nothing settled into lines. Everything still looks smooth. It feels hydrating. It's really comfortable to wear. Not sticky at all. But everywhere the mask does its main touching, like I mentioned in my daylight check-in, like that part, that front sticking out part of my face, my chin and my nose, are pretty much down to bare skin, and it's just because it transferred away. But, you know, when you look at every place else, it's still intact and everything still looks good. Blush, bronzer, highlight. So I think this is one of those that if you're in a situation where you aren't going to have to be masking, it is gorgeous, beautiful. Not my first choice if I'm going to mask. Right now, that means I wouldn't wear it to work because we're masking in public and I teach in a very public place. So anyway, let's zoom in and get a look at this one. Like I said, that whole center of my face where the mask sits, my nose, the area around my mouth and my chin, basically have no product left. Like, it has worn away. I can see where on my nose the mask stops, where I tend to wear my mask at that point. Cheeks, blush, bronzer, highlight, everything there all has remained intact. Nothing is clinging to texture between my eyebrows. That looks fine. Forehead looks fine. No micro wrinkles happening. Everything still looks hydrated and plumped. Even where I took it under my eyes looks good. I, again, forgot to apply concealer today. But basically everything aside from the mask contact points still looks beautiful. So the wear time is really nice without contact on your face. Masking, not gonna cut it. Not gonna be the thing I wear underneath a mask. So if I had to give a grade to, I don't wish I had the bottle. I think I tossed my little sample envelope because it was dripping on my vanity here. If I had to give a grade to the Charlotte Tilbury Light Wonder, I can't consider masking in the grade aside from if it was exceptionally transfer resistant, because all the foundation reviews I did during lockdown when I wasn't leaving the house and therefore wasn't masking don't have that comparison. So I'm not including mask transfer as a negative in the grade. So I would consider if it was highly transfer resistant to be a plus, because that usually also applies to sunglasses and things like that. But in this case, I am going to go A- on the Light Wonder. It could use a better shade range. It basically ignores the entire deep end of the spectrum, so that's disappointing. It is super comfortable. It doesn't settle into my lines. It doesn't settle into my pores. It doesn't cling to my texture. I even have a couple of spots that had broken out on my chin from this to me is excessive masking. Like, I'm wearing a mask 4 or 5 hours a day, and literally I didn't leave the house throughout all of lockdown, and now I have to because I have to go to work. I'm not allowed to teach remotely anymore. So I'm now experiencing like breakouts from my masks that all you guys dealt with a year ago, but it didn't cling even to the little pieces of skin that are flaking around where I picked my face. I know, I shouldn't do that. I should not do that. I know. Bad. But I'm going to go A-. We're going to look at the positives. Note to self, don't wear it under a mask. It's not going to stay put. But otherwise, I think it's gorgeous and comfortable and hydrating. That's pretty good for dry and maturing skin. And there you have it. Another episode of Foundation Fest is in the books. If you like foundation reviews, if you had fun with this one, give me a thumbs up down below. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, unless I'm running late. And as always, thanks a lot for taking some time out of your day to geek out over makeup with me. I appreciate your time, and I hope you guys all have an awesome day or night wherever you are in the world. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.